Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Reputation Sensei Playbook podcast, marketing strategy for the dealer world to do less and hopefully make more. We have an outstanding episode in store for you, none other than Tim Dawson, a career car guy with an amazing story. You talk about a holistic way of leadership, making sure that your heart, mind, and body are tuned in to bridge the gap between where you and your organization are and where they ultimately want to be. Tim's got all kinds of information and inspiration to impart on you today. Tune in for the next 20 minutes or so. You won't regret it.
Welcome to the Sensei Playbook, the ultimate how-to podcast for growing and amplifying your brand within the digital world's 3-second landscape. Join Bill Courtwright and Chris Snellgrove as they discuss the right tools and strategies for building the best online marketing strategy for your business. Tune in to leading business leaders who share information and impart inspiration on providing smooth customer experience and successfully scaling your venture. This is your chance to achieve rapid growth in the highly competitive online market. Let's get this episode started with your hosts, Bill and Chris.
The first question I like to ask Tim is, the car business, it's been said that it's really not about the cars that we sell, but rather the stories we tell. You've got a history in the car business going back a few years. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get to be where you are today?
I got in the car business in 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia, in Buford, a little town called Buford. Back then, it was just our store and a mall, and it was my introduction to the car business. It was a Toyota store. It was a Toyota Mall of Georgia. It was just, I was right out of college. I was young. I was ambitious, and I came from the service industry, from the hotel resort industry. I was in Colorado, in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. A buddy of mine had gotten into the business at that store, and he says, you've got to come check this out. So young, I could do that. He was my best friend. Got on a plane. He had a place. I went and stayed with him and jumped into that business there, and the rest is history, really. Started selling cars.
Yeah, what a store to get started in. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a powerhouse.
Yes. And
I
knew nothing, but I knew how to treat people because I was coming from the resort business. So for me, it was just, I couldn't wait to get up in the morning to go to work, to go to the dealership. First of all, to hang out with a group of men that were all competitive like me, that I could learn from. I couldn't wait to see what the sales managers or the general managers or the general sales managers were going to say or do the next day, because that was back in 2000, 2001. It was just a different way than it is now. It was just the speed of everything was just so fast, and just, you were there. You were the Auto Trader rep. You were in the store.
Yeah, that was
that's where I met you
something.
First.
Yeah. Bernard Smalls and I were talking about that when Jim Moran came into that store. It was like Godfather.
Yeah, I was there for that.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
And that store at the time was pushing out 900 cars a month. It was
at its height, it was over 900. Consistently, in the 500 to 750, depending on, we had 66 salespeople, it was an amazing place, and a lot of good things happened from that place, because the owners at the time were in acquisition mode. So, if you were a top performer, you were being looked at to help out, go into the acquisition mode, go out and help and grow. And, some of the guys were happy, on the floor, and some of the guys wanted more. I was one of the guys that wanted more. So I quickly became promoted into a closer position at one of the Kia stores that they opened up. That Kia store ended up being the #1 Kia store in the country. And then we opened up another Kia store, and then another Kia store, and then another Toyota store, just all
Wow.
in a row. Bam, 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 you know?
What was
So
the name of the Kia store in Duluth?
Kia Mall of Georgia was in Beaufort, and
Okay,
Gwinnett
Kia Mall,
Place,
Georgia.
yeah, Gwinnett Place Kia was in Duluth.
Okay, and which one became number
Or
one?
no,
Was it the
Gwinnett.
mall?
Yeah, or Duluth, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Which
didn't
one was
hear.
number one? Was it the Mall of Georgia?
Yeah, the first one, the very first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. What did y'all attribute that to?
Leadership, and then the right leadership within the leadership. So we're, putting the right people in place under Sean Esfahani and John Williams that bought into the raving fans culture, that bought into the processes and procedures, that bought into treating people the way you want to be treated, the golden rule, right? And you know, they taught me in my path how to invest in your employees. So your human capital is your greatest asset. And that's kind of what I learned from that. And that's what I took with me to my next step, throughout my career, and continue to do today.
What was it like working for those guys? I mean, that had to be cool because they were complete thought leaders. They were industry leaders.
Yeah, yeah. Sean Esfahani was probably one of the most dynamic people I've ever worked for. John was just kind of the brains behind the whole thing, and very personable. And, this guy, he would get down on the floor and hang out with the sales guys, and get on the desk and hang out with, and Sean would go out and TO. I used to bring Sean out to TO my customers, come help me, it's just,
Which is
that was
almost
the fun.
unheard of for an owner to do that, right?
Yeah, it pretty much at that level, when the store's that big,
Right.
But yeah, it's just fun. I mean, the bonuses and the camaraderie and the sales meetings, and then bringing in, we started corporate training, and that's where Bernard Smalls came in and just kind of, you know, brainwashed everybody, right? And that's what you have to do, I mean, you've got to take a group of men that know everything that they know, and then you got to teach them a whole nother way, and that's not easy to do.
Right.
So
Yeah, and whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
that's right.
And
That's
mindset is everything. We had the benefit of getting to know Bernard. Or I know Chris knows him quite well, but I had the blessing of getting to know Bernard pretty well on a podcast recording a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out the Bernard Smalls podcast. It's absolutely outstanding. So many wisdom nuggets in there. But you coming from hospitality, I have a similar story. I grew up in the restaurant business in Chicago, and got into sales and marketing after that. But the one thing I remember learning in hospitality and bringing over into sales that really served me well was that whole make a friend, make a deal type approach.
Right.
Everything's person to person, and everyone wants to buy, but no one wants to be sold. Tell us a little bit about how hospitality and the human experience has made its way into the work you do today, and the development you do with your team members.
Well, it makes you listen. Being in the hospitality industry, coming from there, makes you listen, because the guest is always right. And really, they are right. Even though sometimes the situation, they may not be right, but their perception is their reality of the situation. And you have to accept that, because if you don't accept that, you're going to butt heads with them. And if you butt heads with them, nothing goes right for anyone. They don't get what they want. You don't get what you want. Right. So and that's that part of learning. Sometimes people don't learn that. They have to grow into it. It's experiential, if you will, to be able to understand that experience. Each individual has their own, and until you realize that's their perception of that reality of whatever that situation is, whether or not it's a business transaction or it's just helping someone get to the next step, you've got to understand that and get on their side of it, and then guide them through what needs to happen. A lot of coaching and developing.
Yeah. And so what is the process for, getting people up to speed? What's the process in your store for getting new people into that, that mindset?
Well, we train them. We have a winning edge book that we train, and it's a lot of what you heard from Bernard. Bernard wrote the book. It's one of his training manuals that he started at Toyota Mall of Georgia, his first training manual ever. And it's been modified throughout the years, and it's modified for each individual dealership, which is super important because all dealers have the same goal, but they all have different goals, if that makes sense. They all want to be successful. They all want to make a lot of money, but some of them want to do it in a different way. So, you take that and you put that into action, but you also have to do it with them. You have to, like you said earlier before we started, you would go to train in a training room in a dealership, and then all the sales managers would turn around and walk out. Well, if you're not doing it with them, if you're not showing your sales associate, your teammate, whatever level they are, that you're doing it with them and you're gonna be there beside them while they're learning it, they're not gonna buy in. They're not gonna listen. They're gonna do it their way. As soon as you walk away, it's over, right? If you want to grow to the next level, like I said earlier, you invest in the human capital that you have so that your customers reap the benefit of that, or your guests reap the benefit of that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. John Maxwell says, the greatest leaders are the leaders that know the way, show the way, and then go the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to lead by example. If you're not leading by example, you're not getting anywhere. If you're leading from your office and not from the sales desk, or not from the floor, or not from sitting next to a customer and listening to your salesperson give the presentation or whatever it is they're doing with the customer or with the guest, you're not learning what they're capable of doing or how to coach them or guide them. It's important to do that. I lead by example. I'm on the desk all the time. I'm on the floor all the time. I'm in the community. That's the only way I know how to do it. And so far it works. It works for me. It works for us.
No, it works. Period.
The raving fan philosophy. I mean, it's it's a culture, and
Yes.
it's been said that the best salesmen in the business don't try to sell that person that walk on the lot. They try to sell everyone that they know. Everyone that person knows.
And another thing to think about is a raving fan isn't always your guest or your customer. It's your employees. I mean, if your employees are raving fans about you and the way that you, as a leader, lead them, then they're going to grow not only inside your company, but they're going to grow in their family, in their household. It bleeds into it. It gets deeper than just what's under the roof that you're in.
Yep.
Yeah.
You mentioned you came from the hospitality resort business. Was it skiing and steamboat?
Yeah, I was at the Steamboat Resort and Conference Center in Steamboat Springs, Florida, at the base of Mount Warner. So you got out of the ski lift was connected to the hotel. So
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty cool. Ski in, ski out. And I worked for Sheraton. Used to be, what was it, Sheraton ITT then. I think it's been sold multiple times at Starwood now, but they had employee housing. I was a young man, I was in my 20s, early 20s, young man. So I got to live in employee housing, and I got to be ski in, ski out. So it was fun.
Wow.
I met my wife there.
Very cool.
Still my wife today, and we've had 2
That's
kids
awesome.
and successful family, and a lot of what I learned from the beginning of my career, like I was saying earlier, that bled out into the way my kids were raised. The tenacity that I learned from some of these, thought leaders and owners like a John Williams and a David Williams and a Sean Esfahani. Never give up. Nothing's never too tough. You can always you can always get through it. And when you get through it and get on the other side of it, I mean, that's sometimes the win, you know.
That's awesome. How old are your children now?
They're 18 and 19. I have
Wow.
my son's 19 and my daughter's 18.
Wow. Growing
Yep.
up. They grow up fast.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So
Yeah. How
your
about
business,
yours? You had a young one, I think, when I was leaving, right?
Well, my oldest now is 25, and then I
Okay.
have twins that are now 12, and they'll be
Yes.
13
Yes.
in
That's what I
January.
remember.
So
I
yeah,
remember the
I did it.
twins.
Yep.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
did it the second go around. So it's been they keep you young.
That's right. That's right. You're looking good.
Thank you.
You got to keep
Yeah, it's
up.
fun, man. It's fun.
so Tim, your dealership is not what you tell people that it is. Your dealership today is what your customers are telling other customers or could be customers what it is. How are you
Absolutely.
able to take the positive experience that I have no doubt you're creating within your store and getting those customers to share that positive experience online and in the community? How are you doing that?
Well, we do it by giving them a great experience and sales and service, you know, the whole way through. But we're also very active in the community. We support, you know, gosh, all the high schools, all the sports. You know, we support the foundations that give back to the community and support the needy and the challenged in the community. We support and okay, there's so many different ways. I mean, we spend $250,000 plus a year just in the local community. It's important when you're in a small community like this to be involved, because everybody helps each other through it. So
Nice.
we're active. We still do TV commercials. We keep our salespeople in all the TV commercials so that the customers and our guests can see their salespeople inside the community on TV, and they can go, "Yeah, I bought my car from not only our company, but from that individual," right? And then that helps, you know, grow the network. And I know TV is kind of old school, but TV in a small community is still very relevant. Direct mail is still very relevant. You know, one of the things that we do is we send out birthday letters, and we send out, you know, we do the birthday phone calls, the anniversaries. Um, we do well, we're just active in the community, you know.
How about on social media? What social media initiatives have helped bring the community into the store?
We're like a news source for anything that's going on with the auto industry. So anything that's relative or current events, we bring continuity to whatever is going on in the car business on Facebook. We're constantly doing walkarounds and videos. We're constantly going over incentives. We're constantly going over, you know, ICO. We're instant Kelly Blue Book cash offer buying center. So we're constantly, you know, letting people know that people know what's going on with the industry as a whole, because we are the news source for that. Tell you a story real quick. We got our first electric vehicle in the UP. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, but the closest city is Green Bay, and it's 3.5 hours from here. So there's nowhere to charge a car. We have a Meyer they just built 2 years ago. Tesla put in fast chargers there, but they only work on Teslas. The dealerships are starting to put in their infrastructure, but no one in the community knows how EVs work or how they want to work. So I put a PowerPoint presentation together. I was asked by the college to come out and do a presentation on EVs, the pros, the cons, the benefits, the features and benefits of owning an EV, because we wanted to be front runners ahead of what's coming. So that's another way we gave back. We volunteered our time. We did that, and we were, you know, in an auditorium with questions and answers. We spent, you know, 3 hours doing that with the community. And guess what? When we got our first EV, one of the professors was knocking on the door. "I'll take it," you know,
That's awesome.
just from the education of it, right?
Right.
Yes, it was fun, but yeah,
So your team is good at producing user-generated content, which is the trend. That's the hottest trending thing on social media right now.
sure,
That's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
we
hard to
do. And
get. Yeah,
we have young guys that love it. I mean, we have a little team that just they love doing it. If you get a chance, go on there, you'll see them. We do them every Friday, every Monday, and then if something special's going on or we feel like we need to, do something, we do it throughout the week as well. So um, we do snowstorms. We do all kinds of stuff. We have fun with it.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
What's going on in the car business? What's new? What was your latest content?
I think AI is becoming a big buzzword in the car business. Um, I was just on with our marketing platform, and we're using Google Vehicle Listings, which I didn't know this, but Google Vehicle Listings just changed their platform to it's called Performance Max platform, and it's a AI generated Google algorithm that learns every single day about what's going on in your area with the consumer. There's consumers that are looking for cars, and if you're subscribed to this, it serves up your cars to them anytime they're on the search engine looking for any type of vehicle. I mean, it's learning and growing. So when your analytics are always changing, according to, like, it tells you whether to throttle back or whether to throttle forward. I mean, it just does everything for you. Like, it is amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah,
huge. I don't
yeah,
know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure that's one thing to mention. We're not, we're not quite as advanced as the bigger cities because of where we are. Our consumers, some of our consumers don't even have the right kind of connection to a computer that could load a complicated website,
mhm,
right? I mean, we're so it's so spread out here. But learning, you know, learning some of this AI stuff that's coming down the pipeline right now, we're obviously, I'm going to be on it because that's my thing. I was always involved in digital marketing, and I'm going to embrace anything that we can to give us an edge, and embrace anything that we can that is going to give our guest a better user experience,
yep.
so they can get what they want.
A lot of dealers are using it to respond to reviews. They will input the review, and then Chat GPT or Bard will spit out a creative response.
Okay, so
And
they're using it for the response.
yeah,
Okay,
just try it sometime. Grab a review from your Google listing and throw it
and
into
throw it
Chat
in there.
GPT. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
write all the reviews myself, so I'll absolutely do that because I do the merchandising for the automobiles as well. And
right.
I started using BART right when it came out. I was like, yes, this is going to be so awesome. Instead of, you know,
Yeah,
you trying to curate the perfect
right.
merchandising ad, I was throwing it in BART, and it was pretty good. But that was early. That was what was that? That was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But I think it's had several upgrades since then. So
Yep.
I'll have to jump back in there and do that.
And if you're doing review responding, and we do it for lots of stores, I mean, you don't want to be the same each time, right? You want to get
Nope.
creative, and you
Yep.
want to you want to make it fun. So it's a great tool.
Doing the reviews yourself is powerful if you're in a small store like ours, because a lot of times the person in the
Mhm.
transaction, and you can, you know,
Really
thank
get
them
personal.
inside the review, and it shows, this place is human. This place is,
Right.
really in tune with with their guests. So it really helps out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We used to
Tim, as
have
a oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was just going to say there used to be I won't name the store because it's one of the largest Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram stores in the country, but we used to use them as an example of what not to do. Because if you wrote a bad review against this store, the general manager would light you up. and tell
Yeah,
you how
I've seen that.
stupid you were.
Yeah. I've seen some of that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was funny. I was like, wow, this is not good. And he would actually put his cell phone in there. He would put his name and cell phone. I was like, there's no way that's his cell phone. I was like, it can't be. It's got to be a burner phone. And so I was, of course, trying to connect with the store, and I would call the cell phone often. And one day he answered,
Oh,
and they had a horrible reputation. And I was like, hey, I know you're one of the top stores. Actually, he is the number one store in the country. They sell about 1,200 cars a month, and this is going back a couple years, and they service over 15,000. And but at the time, they had like a 2.9 on Google. And I said, hey, I know you're a very successful store, but does that 2.9 on Google bother you? Because it probably doesn't reflect your real customer experience. He goes, nah, and he hung up on me.
So Tim, you're clearly a professional that likes to stay sharp. You're getting great input. Your story indicates that you've been getting good input your entire career. You're now flipped that script, and you're providing your team members with great input. You're active in your community. You're staying up to date on things like AI and technology. Where can you tell the listeners and viewers is it that where are you getting your good input? How are you staying sharp? Who are you reading? Who are you listening to?
wow. Well, I'll tell you the first step is the first step to being able to perform at the high level is you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself from a personal standpoint, and you've got to feed yourself, not only from a physical and mental standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint as well. So you have to be well-rounded all the way, because you're constantly dealing with different situations that are coming at you at light speed when you walk in the door, in this position. And you have to be able to give people the best version of yourself so you can listen to so you can really hear them. What is the message they're trying to give you when they're heated? What is the message they're trying to give you when something doesn't go the way it's supposed to go? And when you're the one dealing with it one-on-one, if you're not on your game, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't be consistent. And then your team members and your family from the outside looking in can see that, and it doesn't go well. So I highly recommend that first. Have a structure, have a routine that you stick with, that is that makes you bulletproof. All
Well,
right.
what unpack that a little. What does that look like for you? That routine.
Um, you know, for me, it's, I start early in the morning, very early in the morning. Um, I'm big with meditation. I'm big with yoga, hatha yoga. I do strength training. One of the people that I read and listen to on the podcast is Dr. Peter Attia. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. His slogan is the marginal decade. What the marginal decade is working where you are, wherever your walk of life is right now, to be able to do what you want to do in the last 10 years of your life. So in the last 10 years of your life, if you want to be able to get on the floor with your grandkids and roll around and pick them up and throw them up in the air and walk around with them, you have to be physically and mentally fit to be able to do that. And if you take a look around, that's a small percentage of people that are in their marginal decade that can do those things. So I've embraced that. I have a personal trainer. I highly recommend not necessarily a personal trainer, but group training. Okay, get in there and and make it happen. Some
So
people
what does a typical morning look like for you? Like, what time do you get up, and what time do you train? What time do you meditate?
Sometimes it's 3:30 in the morning. Sometimes it's 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
This morning it was 4:44.
Okay.
Is what time I got up.
Okay. That's that. That's my okay. That's my speed. But
Sometimes I don't go back to bed, but sometimes if it's when I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, I don't sit in bed and fight. You know what I mean? I get up and I work it out. And then I go back to bed and I get back up. The other 7 days a week nonstop, it doesn't matter what happens, if I'm traveling, if I'm whatever, I do breathing exercises. Okay. I use the Wim Hof method, which look him up. Okay.
I know him.
All
I
right.
do the ice bath, but I haven't learned that.
I do the ice baths as well. Every morning,
Yeah.
cold shower, 7 days a week, nonstop, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But we have Lake Superior, so we have a full-time ice bath. It never gets, I mean, I think 50 degrees, 58 degrees is probably as warm as it ever gets. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of Lake Superior plunges.
And how long do you get in there for, Tim?
5 minutes minimum.
Yep.
A minimum of 5 minutes, because I have found if you stay past 5 minutes and you're not in a safe place, your body gets so numb that you may be alert, but your body fails you and you can't get yourself out. So if you're going to be unsupported, if you're going to be on your own, please don't jump off a pier and do it. Please walk down into a cold plunge and do it. Don't submerge yourself, because you can find yourself in a bad spot.
Wow.
But yeah, so there's that. There's the ice, the ice showers, the breathing, the meditation, the strength training. In my later years, I can still say I'm in my 40s, but not for long. Staying injury free is important, so I don't train 7 days a week. I used to. I don't do that anymore because things don't work, 7 days a week. Your body needs rest. So I do a minimum of 3 days a week, strength training. And again, I follow these exercise protocols with Dr. Peter Attia. Look him up. You'll find him very fascinating. He's very analytical and he's very smart, but look at the marginal decade. You'll love that. It's some good stuff.
That's awesome.
So there's that, but I do a lot of fasting. I do a lot of 48-hour fast throughout a month. I do a lot of 24, 36-hour fast. So yeah, I mean, with all of that, structure, you're able to stay sharp. Your brain activity, you're on point. Your total recall is there, and you're able to really, look people in the eyes and your staff and really listen to them, and you can take a lot in one day. If someone runs into the side of the building, if there's an accident on the lot, if a technician cuts his hand, if a guest calls in and you have 3 voicemails after you came back from lunch and they're all issues, it doesn't bother you. It just doesn't. It's another day at the office.
You're mentally prepared for it.
You're mentally prepared. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my way. There are a lot of different ways to do it, but that's my way.
Yeah. You're speaking my language, man. I got to add them. Yeah, I love it. I've been waking up recently early and working out from 5 to 6 and then getting in our pool outside,
Nice.
which is quite chilly right now. This morning it was 54 in the water. It was 33 in the outside temperature was 33. So it was actually warmer in the water than the air. But I've got to incorporate I want to learn the Wim Hof breathing because it's very effective. I mean, I've looked at it a little bit, but I want to study it more.
Yeah.
Stuff.
The biohacking is fascinating to Chris and I. I'm actually, I've done the cold showers. Chris is now doing cold plunges. We're fans of Jocko. We know what it means.
Oh, yeah.
We know the power hour in the morning. We know what it means to give ourselves the physical and mental edge, to your point, to be the best version of ourselves, to tackle the problems, to inspire and motivate the right people, and to really be sharp in times when we need to be. I'm actually listening right now to a book called Relentless,
Nice.
which I recommend. It's by a guy named Tim Grover, and he talks about coolers, cleaners, and closers.
Okay.
And what the differences are, and it's it's a little bit abrupt. It's a little bit abrasive, but for the right type of people, and I know the three of us are of a similar mindset and heart set.
Yep.
For the right type of person, it's just what you need at a time in your life where, you know, it's probably of benefit. It really solidifies the fact that everything we do at those 3, 4, 5, and 6 a.m. hours, and what we put into our body, both physically and mentally and spiritually, and the conversations that we have, and whether it's prayer, meditation, input, it's all, you know, designed to create these machines of growth and innovation and resource. And not a lot of us, given that stress, can perform. And I think that we're obligated to and called to be the coolest among us when the fit hits the shan, and you need to make plan, and you're the one with the right idea, the right message at the right time to really bridge the gap between where our teams are and where they ultimately want to be. And I'm getting excited just thinking about it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Get you fired up, man. Get it fired up.
Yeah, you got to be hungry.
Yeah.
Would say.
You know, I tell you something else. A product of this. You know, this is a side you know, benefit, a collateral benefit is when your staff starts asking you about these types of things, and you can't push them on it, but when you tell them that you've fasted before, or when you tell them you're trying, you know, you're reading this book, or your strength training, or, you know, they start, yeah, at first they think you're crazy. They just like, what are you talking about? Have you lost your mind? There's no way I couldn't eat for 24 hours. I mean, you know, or there's no way I'm jumping in Lake Superior. Have you, you know, well, then, you know, then you don't say anything, right? And then the next thing you know, 2 or 3 months go by. One of my guys comes up to me and he goes, "I'm fasting right now." You know,
That is
I
awesome,
was like,
man.
yeah, and it's not just one of them. You know, another one started fasting, and then another one. You know, the next thing you know, and then another one's strength training, and then another one's reading, you know, the books that you're reading. Of course, I talk about the books that I'm reading in our sales meetings. We have a sales meeting every single morning at 8 a.m. You know, every single day. So a lot of this gets out, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of that growing into your, you know, onto your sales floor, into your staff, wherever they are, because it gives them the lift, you know,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
it helps them in their life.
And we can't
Yeah,
pour
it's-
from an empty cup. You know, we
No.
literally have to fill ourselves first, right?
Yeah, I tell you, you know, becoming to this position, general manager, you see growing up in the car business, you know, if you're one of those guys that ever want to be at that position, a GM or an owner, you know, a lot of times it's you're chasing money, and you're chasing fortune, and you're chasing fame, and you're chasing the name and all that. But once you get here, it feels better to be able to pour into the staff and the people that are around you and grow their lives, because your life's already taken care of, right? Because you decided that you were going to take care of it. And then you get to pour into your staff, and then it shows up everywhere. You know, it shows up all over the place.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well done. Any final questions, Chris, for Tim?
No, I mean, congratulations on all your success, Tim. I mean, I was there in the beginning, and I remember when you were selling cars, and I saw you rise up through the ranks, and it's inspiring. It's cool. I love success stories. And yeah, when we were talking to Bernard, and he was like, "You got to reach out to my good friend," and I do some work for him up. He's up north. His name's Tim Dawson. I went, "Wait a minute, Tim Dawson? I know Tim."
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. I'm glad we reconnected.
Yeah, man. Well, congratulations to you and your success. I remember, I mean, I've known you for 20 years. I mean, now,
Yeah.
because
Auto
you
Traders.
were, I saw you in Auto Trader, you know, and then you were at Car Smarts, and you were always, you know, getting our inventory out there. And then, you know, you were always adapting, you know, in my opinion, you know, the latest and greatest or you weren't afraid of the latest and greatest, and you always dove in head first, and you were just, I mean, I gotta say, I looked up to you a little bit in your tenacity of success, and actually got to see your office, one time I met when you and Bill Bristow you were trying to launch a supplement.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ideal Body Now.
I got to be a part of that with you a little bit. And I just remember seeing your office, and, I think it was around the holidays. And I remember you were giving back to the community. You were delivering presents. You and your sister were, and I was like, man, that's amazing. He's the real deal.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You got a good memory.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I forgot all about that when you come into the office. Yeah, that was cool.
Well, Tim, on behalf of Chris and myself and the entire Reputation Sensei and Digital Media Nation team, we'd like to thank you for the time you spent, the wisdom you've imparted. This has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you. And we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
Tim.
It was a pleasure to meet you. And hey, good luck with your endeavors. Make it happen. Make it count.
Love it.
That's all for this episode of the Sensei Playbook. May these strategies help you build a powerful business roadmap and dominate the online marketplace right now. Be sure not to miss another episode jam-packed with valuable advice from our marketing martial artists, Bill and Chris, by subscribing to the podcast at podcast.reputationsensei.com. Don't forget to share with your friends and fellow entrepreneurs who also aspire for massive business success. Thank you for listening. Until next time.